Guys, the amount of people she talked crap about was crazy. And, sorry, I'm bouncing from podcast to podcast because I didn't take my names super clearly, but in her podcast episode with Becky, she was shading V and Lauren. At first, I thought it was only Lauren, but then I remembered she's kind of on the outs with V again. So it makes sense that she would be talking about V because V currently is a full-time influencer, right? She's got the podcast with Kail, and then she's got some kind of makeup or something that she sells. And then she does like social media promotions for brands, right? Like that's how she makes her money. And she's only able to do that because she is associated with Kail and the Teen Mom brand. And Kail seems to be really upset about that. Then when it comes to Javi and his, long-suffering on and off again fiance, Lauren, same thing. She is making money because she's got a lot of followers that she got from being involved with a man who had a baby by Kail, right? She does some kind of like multi-level pyramid scheme stuff. And, the Kail Association is paying off well for her. And Kail talks about how hard it is to trust people because a lot of these men, they get to benefit from her, but not just them, but the people that they go on to have relationships with afterwards. And that's something that she carries on her back. And so she also says about Joe's mom. So she says that she is on the outs with Joe. She's on email only basis with Javi, and she and Chris are in hell. Okay. So let's get into Joe's mom. If you guys watch 16 and Pregnant or the early days of Teen Mom 2, you'll remember that, she and Janet, Janet tried her best to be there for her and everything like that, but she grew frustrated with Kail, which was understandable because Kail, she was hot in the pants, even as a little teen, right? So she already had a baby by Joe. They told her, okay, you could still live with us, live in the basement and everything for free with your baby. Under one condition, do not get to hunching with a new man. Kail said, if I can't hunch, I can't breathe. Leave me alone. I'm going to get a new boyfriend. And then she eventually got thrown out of that place, right? And so Trisha said, listen, it felt like Joe's mom, really had your back, she was standing up for you. Kail said, no, that wasn't the case at all. Janet would only do that for the camera so it would look that way. You know who had my back in real life? Joe's dad. And so it kind of feels like it's set up to be a gotcha moment for Janet, oh, Janet's so fake. Janet's not a girl's girl, this, that, or the other. Until you go, okay, well, if Janet was so bad to you, this, that, and the other, and Joe's dad's so great with you, where's your relationship with him at? Are y'all on speaking terms? Spoiler alert, the answer is no, So at the end of the day, there's a common demon's toot here, right? When it comes to relationships not working out in the long term. I'm talking about platonic relationships, not even romantic relationships, right? And then she also called out Joe and how he went to jail in the past for not paying child support. And it was like, girl, if you just keep on digging that hole with this man, yes, that's something that happened, but I'm sure he does not appreciate that being brought up again. And it's something that is so deep in the teen mom lore that a lot of casual people would not even know about, right? And he has since built stepped up in a much better way for his child, and he's built a very successful business in the world of real estate and stuff. And so to have this stuff out there now, it's kind of embarrassing, to be honest with you. And then she also talked, now speaking of that, she's Joe was in jail for that, and I feel can you guys let me know how that worked out? That was when they were living in Philadelphia, I believe. I want to know how that works. Was that one of those things you want to F with me? Let me call up, them peeps and tell them that you're not paying your child support. Because she then goes to talk about how Chris owes a lot of money in child support as well. And how there was a time when they got back together. And so she paid that child support off for him so that it wouldn't look bad on him. And at this point, I'm like, dude, does it go down to his ankles? Does it go down to his ankles? Because why is she so sprung over this man? She bought a house to get close to this man. She says she would have bought him a luxury, not a regular BMW, but a top of the line BMW. She bought him a designer dog. She was doing everything for this man, who did not even ever claim her. She's like, listen, I was in a relationship with him, but I don't know that he was in a relationship with me, And she still refers to him as the love of her life. And she's out here talking about how she paid child support for him that he owed her too. That is just a level of sprung, did Chris cast a spell on her? Because here's what I heard. Let me know if you're from New Orleans or something like that. But I always heard about the period pasta, right? About how if you really want to get a man sprung on you, what do? You make him some pasta with some of your period blood. I know Chris doesn't have a period, but did he do sperm spaghetti. Like, I don't know. Like, what did he do to get this girl so hooked? Because I am genuinely curious at this point. Like, it's scary, the obsession that she had with this man, right?